Hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar where we'll talk a little bit about what's new in Creo 5.0 machining. So we'll just do a quick overview of what we'll discuss today. So there's the webinar agenda. So we'll look at what's new. I'll start off with a short introduction about boundary systems, and then we'll jump onto a demonstration where I'll show you one or two things that's new in Creo 5, and then we'll look at the big new thing, which is the NC Mold Machining Extension that's available now. So just first a little bit about myself. So I'm a boundary system technical specialist. I've been working with the Creo manufacturing product for about 8 years now. I'm also responsible for developing post processes for Creo. So I've got a fair bit of experience in the software by now. Just a little bit about boundary systems. So the logos that you see here are some of the customers that we serve. Some of our capabilities is product lifecycle management, data management, CAD design and consulting. We also do simulation for these customers, and then we can also help with product development. So some of the accreditations we've got, I think the important ones here is the Winchell certified implementers. We're also a PTC preferred service provider and a certified training partner as well. And some of the other solutions that we offer, PTC being the major one, but we also do products for solid thinking, Iterate, and ZWCAD as well. So this is a slide that I've showed last week as well when we've done the webinar on the beginners for Creo NC. So I just want to run through this just quickly again. So there's basically 4 types of licenses that you can buy with the Creo NC package. The beginners one, or the entry level one, is the prismatic and multi-surface milling extension, where you will basically get 2 and 3 axis machining, and then 4 and 5 axis, but only positioning. So you won't get the continuous toolpaths that you can create. Then if you go to Creo production machining extension, you'll get everything that's in prismatic and multi-surface, but we're adding the 4-axis turning, and we're adding 4-axis wire EDM as well. Okay, and then you get you can buy complete machining extension. So that's basically everything. So you get everything that's in production machining extension, but we add live tooling, for instance, and we're also adding 5-axis continuous toolpaths that you can create. Then you can also buy the Creo Mold Machining Extension. You can buy that separate, so it's not an add-on onto any of these. It can be a standalone feature, but we'll have a slide on that as well now. So on the Creo Mold Machining, so the toolpaths that I'll show you today is basically powered by ModuleWorks. It's fully integrated into Creo, so it's not going to be an app that you start up in the background or something like that, and you're going to jump from interface or things like that. Everything is integrated, so it will have exactly the same feel as all the other sequences and things that you can create in Creo. Then also that's coming with that is the 64-bit capability, so we can do multi-threaded. And the toolpaths that we're going to create is also high-speed toolpaths. So I'll show you that. So there won't be any sharp corners and things like that. It's going to be a nice continuous toolpath that you'll create with these with the mold machining sequences. And then just a few important things. Everything is exactly the same, so you'll still be able to create work centers, tools, and mill windows. So everything around that you'll be able to access, and that's not only if you have the Creo Mold Machining license. So you don't have the prismatic and things like that. This is the standalone Creo Mold Machining, so you'll still be able to do all of that. You'll still be able to do holes and trajectory and the basic things. Okay, and then the 4 new module work-based toolpaths that you'll have access to is the high-speed machining roughing, the rest roughing, finishing, and rest finishing. So that's all high-speed toolpaths that we'll create using the module works mathematics in the background. Then some general enhancements that we have in Creo 5. So you can highlight toolpaths now from the model tree. I'll show you that. It's basically a on and off switch, so you can put it on, and as you go through your model tree, it will highlight the toolpaths. Sorry. And then also we have some predefined NC parameters. So you'll notice as soon as you start selecting your references based on the tool that you've selected, Creo will automatically go and it will add things like your cutting feed, step overs, and things like that. Then we also have a new slice by slice option in volume milling. I'll show you that, where it was normally just by region. Now we can switch that on and off. And on the conventional milling side, they've basically added the new Creo interface, or the Creo tabs, into that. Okay. So this is my contact information. So any technical questions regarding the webinar, or even any of the manufacturing packages, you can just give me a mail. I'll answer that as soon as I can. If you send those questions, always remember to CC support@boundarysys.com as well. So that's just going to ensure that somebody on the support side picks that up and they can relay that to me. Any sales related questions, you can email sales@boundarysys.com. And then the link here at the bottom, that's to our page, and you can view some of the machining. We've got some data sheets and things on that particular page that you can view. Okay, so that's that from the slides. I think I'm going to jump into Creo, and let's start looking at those parameters and those sequences that we can create. I think I'm going to start with the volume mill new option that we can create now. So I'm going to click on this, and you'll notice that you've got these display NC toolpaths and NC references. So if I switch that off, if I pick the milling sequence, there's nothing highlighting in my graphics window. So as soon as I put that on and I pick something, then I can view that NC sequence or that toolpath fairly quickly. Okay. I think in the previous versions you had to go and play the toolpath before you could see it, or you have to go into the NC simulation side to see that. So or even edit definition it. Now it's there. It's quick and easy for you to view and to review. So I'm just quickly going to show you the new option in the volume mill. So if you go to your tool motions, edit that. There's the by region that's on now. So I'm just quickly going to play that. And let's just see how this cut. It's basically just a zigzag type of cut, but it's doing one pocket at a time. So if you're working with thin walls and things like that, that might be not ideal. It's going to create a little bit of a shatter in between them. So in this type of scenario, you want to go one slice at a time. So you take one slice in the left-hand side pocket, one in the middle, one in the right, and it's going to jump like that. Okay, so let's close this and let's quickly edit that. And you just put that by region off. You say OK. And let's see what that toolpath is doing now. So now it's jumping one slice at a time from pocket to pocket. Okay. So fairly simple and easy. That's one of the new features in Creo and on the volume milling side. And then I've prepared few assemblies or few plates that that will machine. I've already done the sequences, but we can go and we can recreate them as we need. I just want to show you the important things at this stage. So this is the new one, and if you go to your mold tab, you'll notice that these new group over here, where your high-speed roughing, your rest roughing, finishing, and rest finishing, they all group together. That's the new module works sequences. So if you don't have the license, then they won't be there. If you have the license, that tab's gonna show up. Okay, so then let's quickly highlight that. Let's quickly view this one from the. That's not going to work. I want to view it from the top. Let's just highlight that so you can see exactly what this toolpath is doing. Okay, so you can see all those sharp corners and everything is removed. So it's a nice continuous toolpath. The option that I've used here is a constant cut. So you've seen I've gone. My step over is quite small, but I've taken a nice deep cut. So let's view it from this side, and let's just put that onto wireframe so we can see exactly what's happened. So you can see I'm spiraling down with that tool. My first level is over here and my second level over here. Also, what you'll notice is that this tool is picking up as it's going back. Okay, so that's just as soon as it's not cutting, then it's going to pull a little bit off the surface. Okay, so this is basically the core that I've machined. Let's put that back. Then I've added a rest roughing. You can see it's just going and cleaning up that. That's a different tool size. Then I've added another rest roughing just to clean up my corners a little bit more. So those are all different tools. And then I've added, my finishing is not in here. I think I've done the finishing in the other one. There's the finishing. So there's a rest finishing. This is a pencil cut. So just cleaning up my corners. Okay, so I just wanted to use this one just to show you the tool parts. I'm going to jump to this particular part. No, not that one. Oh my goodness, the cavity one. So this is the one that I'll talk about the parameters a little bit. So let's edit definition that. So you'll notice this toolpath is starting from the outside. The previous assembly started from the inside. So I can control that if I can enter my my workpiece from the outside. So what this toolpath is going to do, it's basically going to start from the outside, and it's going to machine this cavity inwards. So let's quickly play the toolpath before we start playing around with the parameters. So that run through. So let's start taking the shape. And then it's also, you can see I'm taking a nice, quite a nice depth step. And then what I'm also doing is I'm taking some intermediate slices. Okay, so let's see what happened here. So that was my main step. Then I've got another step, and then I've got some intermediate slices that I've specified for this particular. So it's sort of like a roughing and a semi-rough in one go. So this will depend on the type of part that you machine, but you can change that as you need it. I just quickly want to, so I've got a question here. I just want to make sure. No, the model is not disappearing on my side. If we have a problem with the graphics, just quickly type in a question there. Let me know we've got a graphics problem, then I can maybe quickly try to sort that out. In the meantime, I'm gonna carry on. Okay, so let's look at the parameters. Or let's maybe start one from scratch. Yeah, let's do that. So I've got my mold window. So the mold window, normal Creo things, you create it as you would normally do. So select your plane and do your sketch if you need to, or select the edges. I'm not going to redo that. Then I'm going to create a high-speed milling roughing sequence. I'm going to select my tool. So I'm going to use a bull nose cutter. And you'll notice that the parameter is already filled in. So I didn't add the cut feed, I didn't add the step over, I didn't add the maximum step there. So all of that is now predefined in Creo. Just by using your tool diameter, it goes and create that. Things you still have to specify is your mold window. So I can specify my mold window, and I can specify a clearance plane. Just going to use that top, move it up a little bit. This is millimeters, so that's just 5 millimeters above my job. And you see, so Creo basically did most of the work. It used all the default parameters, and you can go and you can have and create a sequence from that. Right, I forget something. Let's just have a look at my parameters. That's constant load. You know what? Let's just quickly go back to the one that I've created. I must have missed something there. Yes, that's my coordinate system. So those parameters are still filled in by a relation. And then I've got a constant load, I've got a climb cup, a cut, and I'm only going to rough. So the options that I've got here is to have a profile as well. So it's going to do the roughing and then just do a profile at the back. My constant load, there's 3 options I've got there. So type 1 will basically just a parallel cut across my job, and you can see that's really messy. As soon as it starts hitting my cavity, let's see what the spiral is going to give me. So you'll notice also how quickly I can go through these options and how quickly Creo will give me some feedback on that. So also it's a little bit better in the middle. I'm still having a lot of ups and downs over here, but you can still see I don't have any sharp corners. So it's still as it's entering the job and as it's cutting, it's trying to move away from those sharp corners, which is basically what you want when you're doing high speed milling. So that's the cut type. The constant load one is the much better one. And there we go. So that's a nice clean tool path. Not too many ups and downs, and it's a constant tool engagement. Just quickly want to see if we've okay. So that was just a question about the graphics again. Okay, so let's go into the parameters and just dig a little bit deeper into what we can set here. So this first window will be all the important things, the things that you can quickly change. As soon as you go into the parameters, then you can do a lot more with these tool paths. So I'm going to just go through them quickly by category. So feeds and speeds. So that's fairly standard. You'll notice this one is calculated by a relation. So that's by default in Creo now. You can go and you can change it to whatever you need. So what we're basically saying is the cut feed is equal to 80% of the cutter diameter times the spindle speed times 2. Okay, so that's your cut feed. So you can calculate that, and depending on the tools that you use, and you can use that as you need it. Okay, if we go to the cutting depth and allowances, so just a few few extra parameters over here. So the important ones that you have to set, or that's important, is how much stock do you want to leave on that. And then all the others are fairly standard with your roughing. You can go through them and adjust them and play around with them. The cutting motion one, this is more the important one. This is where the most of the changes was made. So the scan type is the one that we've played around now. So what's nice if you do it here, just giving you a little bit of a preview of what the cutting surface will be. The roughing and the profile rough you can set over here as well. And then shoot a trimmer to the holder. And do you want intermediate slices? So that's the important one that I want to show you in here. So that's the one that basically will do your depth cuts, and then it will come back between those cuts, and it will clean up your part. So with that setting, you'll get like it's like a semi-rough as well. So you can sort of combine that. Okay, so let's just change that back to constant load. And it's just recalculating that. And you can see the intermediate slices over there. Okay. So that's the new high-speed roughing. I'm just going to cancel this one. And then let's go to the finishing options. Edit definition that. Let's just see. So what I've done with the finishing is I've just created another mold window just to narrow it down to this particular section. As you know, with all the other Creo sequences, your mold window can control where you want to cut and how deep you want to cut. So let's quickly look at the references that you select. That's the mold window, and then the parameter. Okay. Then also the important one, or the big one that's going to make a lot of changes, is the finish option. So you have your constant Z. So constant Z you'll use a little bit more when your part have a lot of vertical surfaces or steep areas. Then your constant cusp option, that's an option where you want to work between steep and shallow areas. Your smart cuts will be a little bit in between of that, and then you have your normal parallel cuts and your flatlands. So if I select flatland here, it's just going to look for those flatlands and machine that. So it's one tool, but it's really versatile. There's a lot of things you can do with that. So let's just quickly jump between these and see what type of result we'll get. That's just my constant Z. So remember, I said that's the one that's going to look for your vertical surfaces or your steep areas. Constant cusp option. So in this particular part, I like this one a lot better. It's a lot cleaner. Maybe what I don't like is it going down here onto that vertical surface. So I might add a little bit of a slope angle or slope start just to stop that from dropping in there. The smart cuts, so that's a little bit in between. So you can see again here, it's not dropping down. It's more of a clean cut. So maybe this is a better option for this particular shape. Parallel cuts. That's just running across the tool. I guess not ideal for this particular part. You don't want it to stop over there or come down onto a flat surface. And let's flatlands. Don't think there's any flatlands in here. So it's picking up the bottom and the top and inside the hole. Okay, so that's just the just a high-speed finishing, but as you can see, there's a lot of things you can adjust in here. So let's just quickly go through the parameters as well. Feeds and speeds, fairly standard. Cuts, there's a few things you can adjust here. Start heights and end heights, adjust that. Cutting motion, this is the important one. This is the one where you will do 80% of your work, just to get the part going. Enter and exit motions, fairly standard. The one here is the tangent arc movement. So you want to enter with a finishing. You want to enter with a tangent motion in there. And then this is just normal Creo. I think they are in every sequence. Okay. So that's the finishing one. Just quickly see what I've done with the rest finishing. I think I've just did the pencil again here in the bottom. So I've got a ball nose cutter. Yeah, fairly small, only 3 millimeters. And then I've set my parameters to pencil cut. So the finish option, the pencil cut is only available when you do your rest finishing. Okay, so if you can remember now, I didn't have that when I did my finishing. So pencil cuts only in the rest finishing. And then another important one for the pencil cut is the number of slices, the pencil multiple passes. So that's just going to give you that your tool comes in from the side, working its way to the edge. Now, otherwise, you're going to have a little bit of a clash if you're working with small diameter tools. So you can set that as well. Okay, so I think that's that. Then the last thing that I want to show you on the parameter side is on the Creo Help files, which is really helpful. These are all new tools, so I don't even remember everything, so I'm still referring back to the help files all the time. So if you can go to the help files, there's a few things that's quite nice in here. So there's the Watch Creo, what's new, and then you have the manufacturing tab. And it's going to tell you a little bit about everything that's new in Creo. So there's the slice by slice option that I've showed you, and it's also talking about the mold machining extension. So just giving you a nice overview of what's new and what you can. And if you click on the link, there's about a 1-minute video that you can watch as well on that. But I think the important one that I'm really using a lot at this stage, if you go to manufacturing, expand the manufacturing tabs, there's manufacturing parameters, and then there's a specific one for high-speed milling. Okay, so this is all the parameters that's for the new extension. Okay, so maybe if you have some time, go through them. A lot of them are exactly the same as in Creo, but they will give you different results in the high-speed milling sequences. Okay, so like you can see, we have a spiral that we can do, but then you have to notice things like it's not supported when you do parallel cuts or flat lands. Okay, for obvious reasons, that's not really going to work. Okay, so you can take this, you can print it out, you can search in here as well. So if you're looking for a specific parameter, so I'm just using shortcut key Control F, and I can say scan, and that's going to search for any word. So that's just basic Windows things, but you can use it in here as well. Okay, so if you're looking for that particular parameter, use the search functionality. And there's the intermediate slices that I've shown as well. And there's the entry and exit, the tangential parameters that you can set, the pencil cuts and all of that, flatlands. So all the parameters is in here, and you can use that as a reference. And so I think the last thing that I quickly want to show, which is not new in Creo 5, it's been released in Creo 4. I'm not sure about the build, but it was one of the latest one, and that's the new material removal simulation tool. So this is also powered by ModuleWorks. So we're just going to stop. Oh, sorry, I have to show my stock for that. So show your stock. It's going to show you the stock, and you can let's put this just a little bit on medium, so it's a little bit better. And you can view what do you want to see, and you can start your toolpath, and you can play that. So you can see there's the first roughing sequence that I've created. Speed that up a little bit. So you see there's the intermediate slices as well. So I'm taking quite a deep cut there, but the intermediate one gives me that that finer cut in between that you need. Also show my target body. So that's the white. So my graphics are still not great. And let's quickly go through them. Speed that up a little bit. Okay, so that's how far we've got. So I still need to do a little bit of work on the finishing and things like that before this part can go to the to the machine. Okay, so just on this tool as well. So I've got a few collisions that I have to check. So you can check that. If there was any gouges, let's see. So no gouges. So just the tool and some stock on a rapid move. So I need to go and check some of my entry and exits. It's also giving you a tool list. So those are the tools that I've created. A sequence list. So there's the 3 sequences that I've displayed. And then you have the normal CL data that you can view as well. Something that I've forgot to mention, these toolpaths, the high-speed machining ones, are only 3-axis compatible. Okay, so they're all just for 3-axis work. Okay, so I guess that's what I wanted to show in Creo. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to get some questions into me, and I'll see if I can answer them. If not, I'll do some research and I'll get back to you on them. And so there's my contact details. I'm just quickly going to view some of your questions. Okay, so I don't see any questions. I'm going to give you a few more minutes. Get them in, please, so I can get them answered. Okay, so we have a question about a recording of this particular webinar. Yes, the recording will be made available. It's normally about a day or two, so Friday maybe, or next week Monday it will be available. Okay, so we have a question about the collision that I detected when I did the simulation. So let's quickly go back to that, and let's just replay that toolpath. So there's a few things that you can do to pinpoint that particular problem. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start the simulation, and one of my options is to stop at a collision or stop at a gouge. So I'm going to activate that, both of them, and then I'm going to run through it again, and let's see where that particular problem. So there it was. So it was with the tool change. So as soon as I came in, so it was that that finishing path, and it's most probably because I don't have an entry and exit properly defined over there. So let's quickly go. This was the rest. Let's quickly play just this, and we have the same setting. I should just make it a little bit slower. No, I've jumped too quickly. Sorry about that. Let's just redo that quickly. You stop at collision, stop at gouge. And then what I'm going to do, I'm not going to add follow, I'm going to say stock and rapid move. It's definitely just after the tool change. No, it is the finish option. Because I didn't specify stock, and you can see it's coming down in here, and there's still stock material as soon as it moves. Let's just play it in, yeah. So it's not happy on this move over here. Also see there's stock. Yeah, let's quickly double check that. Doesn't completely make sense at this stage. Oh, so it's doing the top. So the top is fine. As soon as it's coming down, it's plunging into the rough. So I'll have to adjust that finishing. So maybe either clean a cut on my rest roughing. Maybe those intermediate cuts that I've set is too big. So that's where I'll go and make my change. So it's plunging down in here to my target body because that's a finished cut. Okay, so that's where I need to go and fix that. Okay, just going to look at another question. Okay, so yeah, that one's answer that question. Any other questions? Get them in. We'll give you a few more minutes before I end the webinar. So I'm just adding that rest roughing just to smooth that surface out a little bit, just to get rid of that gouge. Or not gouge, collision rather. That's very small. I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. Let's see if that's going to give us just a smoother finish on this top section. I think I made that too small. Oh no, it's not. That's fine. That's not really ideal. My tool is still too big. So what I'll do is I'll fill these holes, and then I'll get a much better tool path around that. And the constant load is going to be the best. Where's the other option? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll have to play around with that and see exactly which one will be better. Is there any other questions? Okay, if there's no other questions, then I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar. Thank you for everybody joining us today. Let me know if you have any questions by email, and I'll answer them as soon as possible. Thank you. Bye.